Usually it's halfway through the previous book. Because I do so much research for these books and can't include all the information, while I'm researching one book, I have ideas for the next book, and I start researching really while I'm writing the previous book.
And the research happens at home, or you quite quickly get on a plane?
Oh, you actually, I mean, you must go wherever you're writing. First of all, it's a lot of fun. And second of all, it gives you a flavor of the place and helps you write the plot.
And in this case, it's Florence. So the first visit to Florence, what would you actually have done to start collecting the information you needed?
Well, I'd been to Florence a number of times beforehand, but when I knew I was going to write about Dante, clearly I had to go back. And I literally just walked the city, saw sort of the prominent sites and a lot of other places that I'd heard about, and just looked for inspiration and saw, for example, a grotto in the Boboli Gardens and said, that's got to be part of the plot, and make a note.
But you must also get to see things that perhaps the rest of us don't get to see. I'm wondering if you have conversations where you say, I'd quite like to go in there, and they go, no, it's not possible. And then you go, actually, I'm Dan Brown. And they go, yeah, go on, and you come.
Well, it is a bit of a double-edged sword. I've been very fortunate. Since the Da Vinci Code, I have had access to a lot of people and places that I would never have had access to before. But on the other side, I'm always trying to keep what I'm writing a secret. So it's very difficult to go and ask all these pertinent questions and have it stay secret.
And are you aware when you identify a place and you think, I've got to make that part of the plot, that the moment you do that, you're going to transform the experience of everyone who has anything to do with that place?
I've become aware of that. I try not to think about it while I'm writing, but you are correct.
Because, in fact, for the whole city of Florence, you're effectively putting out a great big advert for their tourist board, aren't you?
I hope so. It is one of the most amazing cities in the world. It's the heart of the Renaissance. It's Dante's home. I hope a whole lot of people go and see it.
Now let's talk about population, because the villain at the heart of this story wants to create a poison which will reduce the population of the world. And I was actually watching another interview you did the other day where you slipped, and instead of saying villain, you said hero. And I did wonder whether that told us something, that you actually had quite a lot of sympathy with what he's trying to do.
I was hoping nobody caught that, but you're right. I love writing a hero who does the wrong thing for the right reason. And if I've done my job correctly, when somebody closes this book, they say, well, that guy definitely was a villain, but I kind of see his point. He's again doing the wrong thing for the right reason.
So this is you wrestling with the fact that Malthus in the end turned out to be wrong, that disease or natural disasters are not checking the Earth's population growth.
Not fast enough. I mean, certainly if we leave things the way they are, nature will find a way to correct things. But our villain's hope is that maybe we can step in with technology and cull our numbers in a slightly more humane way.
Do you worry that if you are stridently putting across a message, that will turn off some readers who don't want a message in a novel?
Well, you know what? This is not an activist novel. I don't think anybody who reads it will think it's an activist novel. I don't propose any solutions. If I had a solution, I would not be writing novels. I'd be working with the World Health Organization or something to try to fix this.
Now, you've been incredibly successful. You must know, to some extent, this novel is going to be successful because it's written by you, but nonetheless, you must worry about how it's received and how it will sell. Do you set out to write in a certain way that you know will be digestible, enjoyable, easy for everyone to access?
You know, I set out to write the novel that I myself would want to read. When you're a creative person, whether you're a writer, an artist, a musician, all you have is your own taste. And you write to that taste, and then you just hope people share your taste.
And if they don't?
Well, that's fine. That's the way it is in the creative arts. I've learned that universal acceptance is an unreasonable achievement. It's not a goal that you should set. Some people like what you do. They're fans. Others don't. They're critics, and life goes on.
You say life goes on, but have you developed a thick skin as the books have come out and they've been incredibly popular, but in some quarters there's been some fierce criticism. In other quarters there's been praise, I should
You know what? You have to have a thick skin. When you create anything and put it into the world, you're essentially, creating a blimp, floating it up, handing everybody a gun and saying, what do you think? And some will shoot at it, some won't, and that's just the way it is in the creative arts.
Are you really this relaxed about it when you hear someone comparing it with, sixth form travel writing or something? It must hurt, no?
Of course you wish everybody loved what you do. But what I do is something very specific and very intentional. And there are a lot of people who like it, and there's some people who don't, and you really just learn to let it roll off your back, or you just stop writing entirely.
Now, one thing I've read, and tell me if this is wrong, is that you've turned this book around fast. And I don't mean the whole process. I mean from the point you completed it to the point that we can buy it. And actually, I saw a writer comparing this with David Bowie, who from nowhere said, here's an album. I wonder if that's a conscious decision.
Sure. Well, we keep things secret until the last possible moment. And clearly in an age of piracy, and also in an age when booksellers and fans are eager to sell a book, when the book is done, we turn it around in a big hurry.
But how do you translate? Because that must involve lots of people. How do you ensure it doesn't leak?
Well, this particular book was translated in 2 bunkers, one here in the UK and one in Milan. Armed guards, and it was
Armed guards?
It was a military operation, and they managed to pull it off. 11 translations with no leaks. It was impressive.
And right at the beginning of this book, in the preface, you say all of the historical facts and events in this book are true. They are facts. Do you worry that that opens you up to a scrutiny from academia that perhaps some novelists would not want to receive?
No, you know, a lot has been made of that fact page. If you look carefully, it essentially says the places are real, the buildings are real, the documents are real. What I do is I create fictional characters and fictional action that takes place in the real world. I try to keep these novels very relevant to my readers, let them learn something. I just want them to know that when Robert Langdon picks up a document and reads it, that's a real thing.
I was telling our viewers I was going to be interviewing you. We posted on the BBC World News Facebook page, and I was saying, what should I ask? And of course, I've got more suggestions than I can get through. But one caught my eye from Nana in Ghana, who just wanted to ask, are you religious? Are you a Christian?
I guess I would consider myself a work in progress. I study a lot of religions, and I think like most thoughtful, thinking people, I have a lot of questions and remain spiritual and hopeful, I guess.
Did you take an interest in the change in the Pope? Was it something you had a view on?
It is, and it's a view that I will just keep to myself.
You're not going to tell us anything about
Absolutely
Pope Francis?
I'm not going to. I've gotten involved in Vatican politics once before, and maybe this time I'll just stay out of it.
You're not going to do it. All right, fair enough. I've got to ask you, you're famous for hanging upside down when you want inspiration. You've got to... I mean, I read about this. I thought, how does this work?
You know, it's funny. So much has been made of that. I use gravity.
Wonder why.
Well, I guess it is. I guess it does make me sound a little bit strange. I do hang upside down, you know, once a day at least. It's great for the spine. It's, you know, oxygenates your brain. And
Did you get the idea from Dante's Inferno? Or
no, it was long before Dante. Yeah, long before Dante.
So, hold on, you've got kit at home which allows you to hang upside down?
Sure. And I mean, anybody who's read Angels and Demons knows there's a lot in that book that can be viewed upside down, ambigrams. And, you know, maybe that's part of where it came from.
And is that what you've used to get over any writer's block? Because I'm sure you must suffer from that as any writer does.
Sure. You know, hanging upside down helps you see the world in a new way. And again, I'm making myself out to be very strange. Tricky of you.
Now, also in this programme, we're going to be paying tribute to Ray Manzarek, one of the founders of The Doors. And I did just want to ask you before you go, isn't it true you've got a little bit of a musical past? I'm just wondering who your influences were.
You know what?
The Doors? Were you getting into the Californian scene?
You know, it's funny that I did have a musical past. My mom was a professional musician. I played piano every day of my life. I still play every day. I was out in Los Angeles and Hollywood for a while as a very hungry, starving musician, and the road signs of life said you may want to go write a novel instead.